I tried it, but it was really boring. So Prime wasn't for me. Hive Mind, I tapped out. Welcome back to Gushing About Shira, the video.
Part two. Hi,
Yeah, part two.
Zax.
Hi, Jelle. Make sure you check out part one if you haven't already. And
Watch
remember,
Shira if you haven't already.
and spoilers ahead.
Hmm.
So let's jump into it.
Yeah, so what we have left is the best friend squad among other people. So let's talk about Best Boy. Let's talk a bit about Best Boy Bo.
Bo is such a best boy. He from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was kind of iffy on Glimmer. I didn't know what to think about Adora. I thought Catcher was very cool, but I knew Bo was best boy
Yeah,
from the jump.
he establishes himself as that very quickly.
He's just, he's always happy for the most part. He's always, trying to be positive for everybody. Um, but it's not so like overwhelming. Like, okay, you can calm down. It's
Yeah,
just
his energy never gets like overly excitable, and he is
right.
not a complete dumbass.
Yeah, his energy is it's very infectious. I think like Bo enters the room and like just everyone feels a little bit better because he's there.
Yeah.
Um, One of the themes that like multiple people go through, we talked about a little bit in the last one, with Hordak trying to get Horde Prime's approval. Bo is also, in season 2 worried about his parents' approval. His dad's think he's going to history school to be a
Yeah, like that he's some
historian.
sort of that he's pursuing academics rather than being a soldier. Because
He,
because it's established that like Lance and George, which are his dads, they don't really approve of like the war and how the princesses kind of behave within that and all that. Like they're I guess they're kind of like conscientious objectors, I guess, in a way.
yeah, like they don't.
They're just
Yeah,
not,
like
yeah.
they're not active in the war at all. I
Hmm.
guess they're just like they want to stay safe. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Uh,
think it's also kind of, I feel like there's also kind of the implication that the war has cost them something, and because of that, they're very reluctant to, have one of their children be a part of that. So Bo kind of hides that part of himself. He goes so far as to wear a shirt that covers his stomach.
yeah, I think. I think
And that's
it's
still
so
one of the
funny. That
weirdest
was
things is Bo in a long shirt.
that. Yeah, I didn't like. I knew I was like, okay, you're not Bo if your torso isn't out, but like when he wears the long sleeve shirt, it was like, no, you're
It
not
just
being
looks
true to
wrong.
Bo. Where is your torso, sir?
Where is your midriff, good sir?
um. But when he does finally like come out to his parents and like, look, no, like I am an adventurer, and they're like, oh,
I'm a soldier, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be fighting for the rebellion. And his parents, they kind of go like, they kind of apologize for not for making him feel like he can't be true to himself, and I think that's
yeah,
very beautiful.
cause they, I mean, of course they still like had their like, of course like they were worried about their son's safety, but at the end of the day they're like, but no, like be happy, like
Be happy that
that's
he is doing something that is important to
yeah,
him,
yeah,
and that's just very good. I just like
they,
that
it's
it's
just
very wholesome, and his dads are also just great characters because they're together. They're like the ultimate dad.
I
Like
just love the dad jokes. It was just
their dad
I
energy is so good.
My definitely favorite moment is in season 5 when he's like, I gotta find my dad's. And then he's like, you can't just hide in a cave. We left a note.
Yeah, that's such a dad thing because they're also because they're because the tracker pad that they have just kind of breaks down and they don't know how to fix that. They're not they're both history professors people. They're both historians.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how to use that modern technology. So I mean I also like that when Glimmer and Bo like find Bo's dads in season 5 like one of them almost accidentally, I believe it's Lance. Maybe I forget who's who. Like one of them almost accidentally shoots Glimmer with an arrow. And then the other one is like, sorry, I'm trying to teach him how to do archery better, though I'm also still learning myself. And I do like that they are learning archery because that's Bo's like skill. That's what he's
Yeah.
named after.
And then it's like, we support you.
Yeah, we
Like,
support you and we try to, also show an interest in your hobbies and what is important to you. So they also kind of self-teach, archery.
yeah.
And that's very
And
sweet.
they're just such a sweet family. Um,
And apparently Bo has like a bunch of siblings too that we never see. So I'm very
yeah.
interested in that and kind of that, like
Family dinner at Glow's house, I
at Bo's
guess.
house, yeah, just have
uh,
all the siblings and the dads.
yeah. Um, so before we get into Glimmer, they are,
They're
uh,
another canon couple. They get
yeah,
together by the end of season 5 as we get Glow officially, Glimmer and
yeah,
Bow. Some people call it Glimbo. I prefer calling it Glow.
yeah. Glow
I like
just
that
has a,
better.
yeah. Glimbo sounds more like, it makes me think of Jimbo.
Yeah, no, now that you say it, yeah.
I,
I just like the fact that Glow is also just a word.
yeah.
But
Um,
their relationship, in some ways, it kind of like mirrors Catradora because I mean, 3 basic points. They're both, childhood friends who kind of grew up together, though this is more pronounced with Catradora. We don't really know at what age Bo and Glimmer befriend each other, but
yeah,
one thing that is more so the case is that, I guess, like with Catra and Adora, they're like the only two people who kind of are friendly to, that the other is friendly to,
yeah.
in a way, I guess. Well, I say that a bit wrong because Adora's friendly to everybody, but
I
like
think, but it is. I think it's similar because Bo. I think he does have more friends than Glimmer does, and so similarly, Catra just has Adora.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like how like it kind of Bo is kind of the Adora in their relationship, and Catra's and Glimmer's kind of the Catra, but they're also very different, of course, from the other
Yeah.
people.
Um.
But
And
yeah,
then
so there's that, and then they both have a falling out. I mean, a lot more extreme in Catradora's case because the whole opposite sides of a war. But in season 4, the relationship between Glimmer and Bo, and also Glimmer and Adora at the same time, gets very strained because while Glimmer is suddenly buried under all these new responsibilities as queen,
right.
like she feels like kind of like she is losing her connection to Bo and Adora because Bo and Adora are going on missions without her because she is needed in Bright Moon
Right.
as its queen. So there's and then Glimmer does the whole thing we'll talk about a bit later where that kind of exacerbates this problem and Bo gets really gets kind of upset with Glimmer for good reason too.
Yeah. I
And
think.
yeah.
I think what was really interesting about that too is like at first, like Glimmer when she's on the spaceship with Catra, she's like, when I get back, I just want to do whatever I need to make it right with Bo and Adora again, and she gets back, and then Adora's pretty much like, fine, like like I get it, you're sorry, we
Yeah,
all
yeah,
made mistakes, we're good.
cause Adora was also sorry for what she did.
Yeah. And then, but Bo, he's not really talking to Glimmer at all, which I was like, that was really weird. And we didn't really even get a lot of real smiles from Bo in these episodes,
Yeah,
which I didn't real.
Bo was genuinely very hurt. and upset.
And I think it was really because like Glimmer's like, I don't know what to do to make it right, and then Adora's like, he was just so set on saving you, he didn't really have time to like process his feelings about like what really went down. And I
Yeah,
think that that's like so good that they just said that like outright, because sometimes like you just need to take time to process your feelings, and
yeah,
you need to, because had he just been like it's good that he just took the time he needed, and he even told her like, look, I just need some time, like I get
yeah.
it, like we're gonna be fine, but we're not fine yet, which
Yeah,
I
like
think is
we'll
a
get there. It's pretty much a guarantee, but it needs time, and I think that's very good because that's how real life works. Like you need that
yeah.
break sometimes. That like if you've had a fight, you need some time to process your feelings, to sort through them before you should really interact with that person again. Otherwise, the anger just keeps coming back.
Exactly.
And Bo, Bo makes this clear, and Glimmer then also gives her, gives him the space,
Yeah. So, and
which,
then
yeah,
I think that space was good for them. It gave them time, and then they finally tell each other that they love each other.
yeah,
And I
and
just,
yeah,
so many feels. It was such a good moment. Like,
yeah. I just love
so cute.
how you can also see their relationship really evolve in like their body language, and how they like hang out with one another and like interact with each other. Like Glimmer starts leaning more against Bo, like is
It's just
while
nice
they've
how
always
like
been very
naturally they
physical
got
because
together.
they've just
Like
always
they
been very
understood what
close.
they
it
were.
it
They didn't
clearly
need to
takes
make
on
a
a
big
much more
show of it.
romantic
I notice in
tone
a lot of shows,
after
if
they
like there are two
after
characters that
they
are
get
best
back to
friends and they
Etheria
want
and
to
they
date,
grow
it'll be like, well,
closer,
can we? That'll
much
ruin
closer again.
things. But like, no, we have to explore it, and then they'll just break up in 5 seconds, and then their friendship is ruined, and it's like this stigma about it. But I think what works with in Glow's case is that you know, they were just comfortable and it was just natural. They didn't force anything. When they needed to take time, they took time. And I think what they told each other that they loved each other, and then it's sort of heading in that direction. But it's not like they needed to be like, okay, whoa, wait. We love each other now. What are we going to do about this? This could potentially. Yeah.
Right, right. They don't like overanalyze like every little interaction that they have the moment that they know of each other that they're romantically interested. And I think an important factor about that is that really romantic relationships, and I'm saying this as somebody who is aromantic and has no interest or whatever in that, and really probably shouldn't talk about it, but is that relationships work a
Yeah.
lot
I think
better. Because
I
like
definitely think that's
why
true. I mean,
not
that's one reason I
be
think most
romantic
shows
with
are
somebody who
afraid
you
to
also
like
consider a
have a
friend?
normal,
Because
healthy
what is
couple.
romance if not
For the
just
most part, depending on
friendship
like what
but
type of
more?
show it is, because it's
Friendship
like, well,
plus.
people who just
Like
a healthy
friendship
relationship
extreme.
is boring. We need the conflict. We need the drama. Like there's no one cares about happily ever after, which I get to an extent, but like there could be other things going on in your life besides your romantic relationship. So I think that's really limiting.
Like to me, actually, like that is probably to me one of the cheapest sources of drama in a lot of cases where it's like
Yeah.
there's more to life than just relationship issues. Like
Especially,
maybe they're struggling through financial issues, or and not even necessarily that it of course that will also affect their like relationship, but not necessarily to the extent where it's like a risk of them breaking up. It's just something that they need to work together on to get their financial situation into a a better place or whatever. And that is where
yeah.
drama can come from. It doesn't always have to be about the will they won't they. Like I said, I feel
Yeah.
like that in a lot of ways that is kind of like overdone and is kind of feels like a cheap source of drama.
Yeah, no, I totally
And then
agree
I
with you.
like and then I like that here in Glow's case it just happens, and they are just comfortable with one another, and it's just another hashtag relationship goals.
Yeah, because like in nowhere, like even with Cachadora, like no one really takes the time to be like, so what are we? Are we boyfriend girlfriend now? Like it's just like we whatever we're doing right now, we like this, and we're just gonna continue doing this. Like we're fine, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just like you don't have to label everything in your life. And
Yeah,
if you
like
have to talk to somebody and explain like this is like if Bo and Glimmer like had to introduce the other, and it's like, and Bo would be like, this is Glimmer, my she's Glimmer. That's all that's important. She's Glimmer and she's very important to me.
yeah.
And
So I
and
mean,
maybe and they'll probably get at some point be like, this is my girlfriend Glimmer, or this is my wife Glimmer, and that's all great and good if doing that. But
yeah, but you don't need to be in a rush. They can just like they're getting, cause like they are already comfortable with each other, but they are sort of getting to know not each other, but they're getting to know this relationship now because it
mm-hmm,
is different. And I think
yeah.
it's nice that we get to see people just like taking their time. We got bigger fish to fry. We have like to get our lives in order really before we're like. So we don't really. No one in this world has time to stress about like, oh gosh, am I gonna be forever alone or get a
basically
man kind of thing. Yeah.
basically what they're doing that I really like, and that I think is a thing that more people should do, is just kind of take your moments of rest and respite where you can, and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
those times. And they do that, like when they're at the camp, and they're like, and they're like preparing for like the next whatever they're gonna do to try and for fight back against Horde Prime. They just take that moment to be together and to enjoy each other's company,
Right.
and that is just do that. Just don't overthink it. Just enjoy those times when you get them.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about both of them. Let's talk a bit more specifically about Glimmer.
Ooh, I like that segue.
Mm.
Um. Yeah. So I guess she's got a lot of the main points that we want to talk about with her are just like her relationship with authority figures in her life.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
like at first, there is her relationship with Angela, and I think that was such an interesting mother daughter dynamic because like we see it. It's not like it's the first time that it's like there's a dead parent and they're trying to like figure out what their family is without that
yeah. Because
person.
Glimmer's dad is presumably, King Micah is presumably dead. At the
And
As far as we know, at the start of season one.
both of them are very relatable because Glimmer is growing up, she wants to be independent,
Mm-hmm.
and her mom is like, I get that, that's why I gave you a title,
Yeah, that's
but
why I made you
I
commander.
I'm not going to let you do anything because I am deathly afraid of losing you like I lost your father.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep clashing like this and we're going to just
Mm-hmm.
stay at this impasse. But
Yeah, like that's basically it. Like Glimmer is she's a young Spitfire. Like she's just like she wants to get things done and fight against the Horde and take them down and save all
yeah,
the people. And meanwhile, Angela's just like, I already failed once and lost your dad. I won't fail again and lose you too.
exactly. And so, you know, I think like because they do argue. They get into arguments, they shout, raise their voice sometimes, but it's not as uncomfortable as the quiet interactions that Shadow Weaver has with either Catra or Dora.
Yeah.
I think, and it's just showing like that this is a help. Like they're not the perfect family,
Oh,
but
definitely not.
but she had a healthy environment. I think it's important that Glimmer, she was brought up in a safe enough environment that she's comfortable to speak her mind, and
Yeah,
like
to
she
speak up
tells her mom
against her
what she
mom.
thinks.
Yeah.
Like and her mom is like she's like her mom does say stuff like go to your room or whatever, but it's never like she's trying to stop her from speaking her mind.
Yeah, like
Even yeah, I think even when I disagree with like it's like Angela, look, I get it, hun, but you need to just like let Glimmer do her thing so like we can get things done.
mhm.
But I know where you're coming from. You're trying to keep
Yeah.
this little girl alive, but she's going to be more reckless if you don't give her some proper guidance.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of the main issue there is Angela is so afraid of losing Glimmer that instead of kind of teaching Glimmer how to look after herself and make smart decisions and all that, she just kind of tries to keep Glimmer where she knows she'll be safe. But this, of
Right.
course, brings the problem that Glimmer now feels like she well, Glimmer doesn't feel like Angela takes her seriously and appreciates what she wants to do. So basically, it's a similar thing actually, kind of, when it comes to like Hordak to Horde Prime or Catra to Shadow Weaver, is Glimmer just wants to prove herself to her mother. But the
Right.
difference is that the relationship itself between Angela and Glimmer is a lot more healthy than the other two.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, I don't. Because, like, yeah, exactly. Because Glimmer, I don't. Never for a second is like, my mom doesn't love me.
Yeah, she
It's.
never doubts that.
She knows that, but she's like, but she doesn't. She still thinks of me as a little kid.
Yeah,
So
she
she's trying to
doesn't
prove.
respect me.
Yeah.
She doesn't some and when Glimmer's particularly hurt, she might think Angela doesn't trust me, but she never doubts, and she will never doubt whether or not Angela loves her because she knows that is true.
And that's definitely, I think, what makes Glimmer probably one of the most relatable characters because it's a very normal thing for an adolescent to want to do. Like, I still need you to help take care of me, but I also am trying to figure out what my own independence is and where,
Hmm.
where that, like, how to do that. Which I
Yeah,
think, before we talk about King Micah, actually, I think I do want to bring up her relationship with Shadow Weaver first,
sure.
just because with this whole thing after Angela real
Sacrifices herself in the
really
portal.
yeah really beautifully sad
Yeah, like that was
sacrifices
probably,
herself.
honestly, probably the most heroic moment in the entire series is Angela's sacrifice.
It was so
Probably.
intense, but now.
Yeah, like and it's interesting that really quickly, kind of
Mm-hmm.
veering off into Angela territory, is that is like the most heroic moment of the whole series by probably not I this is gonna sound really mean, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of made by a coward. Cause and it's not,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
mean
I
that
think
in that,
you're.
cause Angela is so afraid of the reason the Horde and the rebellion are like at an impasse
Yeah.
is in part because Angela is too afraid to take action.
Yeah, I think.
And the fact that she then is the one with like the biggest heroic sacrifice, I think, just goes to show that she realizes that there is this one thing that I can do, and she kind of entrusts the fate of the world to the next generation, to Adora, to Glimmer, to the rest of the rebellion, who are all generally much younger than she is.
Yeah, I don't even think that's really like out of line to say. She even goes so far as to like admit that she's been afraid like
Mm-hmm.
this whole time to like make any moves. She even said like Micah was the brave one, not me.
Yeah.
So like, but I think that's important. Like even though like to have fear, she still was like in this moment like I have to do this. It doesn't matter like I need to put my fears on the back burner right now because Glimmer needs me. And I thought that was what just
Glimmer
made it.
needs me. Adora needs me.
Yeah, and
Everybody needs me to, like, I need to do this. Like, I can't let Adora shoulder this.
yeah, and I think that's just what made it like so beautiful. I'm actually getting like a little teary eyed just thinking about it. But contrast that beautifulness with Shadow Weaver.
Oh, hey,
When
there's a sentence that is just true in most cases. Contrast this beautiful thing with Shadow Weaver.
yes, like okay, so in season 4 we already touched on it, but Glimmer, after her mother sacrificed herself, she is now queen. She
Yeah,
misses hanging out with her friends, and she also doesn't feel like she's being as good a queen as her mother was. But
yeah.
And I think that's also like part of Glimmer's relatability. She's in this fantasy world. She's just trying to figure out how to adult by herself. Like she doesn't
And she
have,
gets, and the thing is, she kind of gets thrust into that
yeah. So she doesn't have her mom anymore to,
for guidance.
at all. She's just alone. So this is the perfect opportunity for Shadow Weaver to sort of insert herself,
Hmm.
as she's known to do. And I think she definitely senses that Glimmer needs at least a sounding board to sort of work things out. And Bo and Adora aren't there, but Shadow Weaver's there. So she's just going to take advantage and,
Yeah,
like,
kind of. In a way, she exacerbates the problems between the best friend squad
yeah.
because like when it comes to like the whole Heart of Etheria thing and the the bringing back online of the runestones. Well, I mean, to be fair, I think she's kind of against that, but at the same time, like she does come forward with Shadow Weaver comes forward with like plans and moves that they can take, and she also does try. She does. Well, no, wait, that's purely Scorpio. Never mind. But the point is, what I'm trying to get at is that in a way, Shadow Weaver does, like I said, exacerbates these problems between the best friend squad, because when Adora like voices like disagreement with like one of Glimmer's like plans or actions, especially if it's something that Shadow Weaver brought up, because Adora, rightfully so and very understandably so, doesn't trust Shadow Weaver.
Right.
And when Adora expresses this to Glimmer and Shadow Weaver's there, Shadow Weaver's just kind of like, oh, don't worry about Adora. She's always been kind of paranoid, and kind of writes off like Adora's genuine and very founded like apprehension, and Glimmer just kind of goes along with that.
Yeah. She I think it is like interesting, like that she kind of makes the same decision twice, in that like she chooses to put aside her negative feelings towards Shadow Weaver when she's like, okay, like you're kind of, it seems like you're onto something, so I'm gonna trust you right now. And ultimately she regrets doing that in
Mm-hmm.
this moment. But on the ship, she puts
Yeah,
the
on Horde
exact
Prime
same,
ship.
on her prime ship, yeah, she puts the exact same trust in Catra, and that ends up working out. So I think
Yeah.
that's good that she wasn't just like, I trusted one of you horde scum before, not doing that ever again,
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
Like she, and of course, you should of course learn from things like that. Sometimes, hey, maybe hold back on the trust or something like that. But in this case, she doesn't let her earlier being burned like cloud her judgment in with this other person, because
Yeah.
she has to have seen something at that point in Katra that made her go like, I can get through to her. I can get through to Katra and get her to do her, quotes, one good thing,
Yeah.
which beautiful, and we'll get to that when we talk about Katra more.
Right.
But
I
yeah,
think,
I think that is very good that Glimmer, doesn't like immediately go like, generalize just like, oh, they're all the same. Even
right.
though she kind of does that at the beginning of the show when she's like, "Oh, all those horde scum," and you probably, when they meet Adora, she's like, and they come
Right.
across this destroyed village, she's like, "You were probably part of this," accusing
Exactly.
Glimmer
Yeah.
or accusing Adora of a thing she never did.
Exactly. And I think it's just important, like, to know, like, it's just like one of the many things you can like glean from this whole show, I think, is you can't hold someone accountable for what someone else did, which I think is, I think
Comes
this,
especially back when we talk about Adora.
yeah. So, and I just think like this with Shadow Weaver versus Catra deal, as far as Glimmer concerned, one of the examples of that throughout.
Yeah,
But Glimmer's just, she's just a sweet little girl, and I like her. She's
yeah.
baby
She
now, I
she
guess.
she she grew on me. Um,
Yeah.
after her, like initially meeting her, like you said, a bit iffy on her, not really sure what was the deal, but she
Yeah.
very much grew on me. Like especially seasons 4 and 5 is when I started to see a lot more of. I don't know. I started to find her a lot more relatable.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely think that's when I started to be like, okay, you're not just
And
the
I mean,
third member of the best friend squad.
and you were there during like season 1, episode 4, or sorry, other way around. Season 4, episode 1, when I just kept saying, "Somebody, please let her grieve."
Yeah. Like, she. Oh, yeah. Speaking of grieving, I was almost about to move on. Uh, King
Her dad.
Micah. Yeah. Talk about never getting to grieve properly. She lost her mom, and immediately, like, there's work to be done because, like, it's the war. We don't have time. We have things to do.
Meanwhile, we
She,
learned kind of, hinted. It was kind of very obviously hinted at that. Hey, maybe her dad's actually still alive somewhere.
and then we learn that, but she doesn't. She's on a ship out in space,
Yeah,
and
like basically as soon as Adora and Bo have rescued not only Entrapta but also King Micah of a Beast Island, like
right,
before they can tell Glimmer anything, because Glimmer at that point is has attacked, gone together with Scorpia to reconnect Scorpia to the Black Garnet, and when Bo gets to the Fright Zone to try and find Glimmer, he sees is Glimmer getting beamed up into Horde Prime's ship, and
right.
he never gets to tell her, Glimmer, your dad's alive.
And then
Barely misses him.
yeah, and I think that was just, and then uh this whole time, like, they keep missing each other. Well, not miss they missed each other once, but then he's like, I can't. What's it gonna be like when I meet my daughter? What am I gonna
Yeah, he's
do?
trying to be like trying to figure out how do I be a good dad? Like she's gonna be so much older and I don't know what to do. And she kind
And
of and he kind of tries to be like a dad to Frosta who's just not interested.
she's like, you'll Glimmer will like you. I kind of like you a little bit too, but like you need to cool it. But
Yeah,
like
you need
that's
to
really
cool it. Like I'm not a kid, and she and Natas and Spinnerella kind of give him their 2 cents on that whole
right.
thing.
But then she goes to
Right
Smith.
before Glimmer
Yeah.
gets back onto Etheria is when Micah is chipped. Dang it.
So yeah, so they don't officially meet until the end of season 5.
After which, amazing, I love that scene so much, where Glimmer basically blasts Micah with a giant laser.
And she's like, I love you.
I love you, Dad. Boom!
And it's like, oh, okay.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
That's my daughter. It's
So,
such a good scene. I love that.
yeah. But I think it just was interesting too, just to kind of see like how, because Angela did tell us that Glimmer and King Mike are very similar, and I think it was just interesting to sort of see that in little ways, like
Yeah, we
Mike,
do get to see that
like
a
they're
bit.
separate, but they are. It is kind of like just the way he wants to, like, he doesn't know what to do. He's not like the best at making friends in a way.
I mean, he has been like on his own on an island for over 10 years.
Yeah, so he gets a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, he hasn't really interacted with people for
Yeah,
like at least like 15, maybe 16, 17 years.
yeah, but he's very selfless, and he's
Yeah,
always ready to just go and do what he needs to do to protect everybody, and
which
just
is
to
is also something that Glimmer is very much like. So
yeah,
we do kind of see that, like father, like daughter there.
yeah, exactly,
And like Angela said, like, you know, Micah was always the brave one and Glimmer gets it from him.
yeah, exactly. Well, that was nice,
That
but
was a lot. Let's before we go into the main meat, we talk
Yes.
about, like, I guess the three most central people of the whole show. Let's talk a bit about people who, a few more like side characters that are in the show that we should mention because they're all very good.
Right.
So let's take a look. Let's take a look at Double Trouble.
Oh gosh,
They are amazing.
Double Trouble was so cool. Just I I knew there was something super iffy about this little girl that's joining the team.
Right.
And I was like, I never.
Flutterina.
Flutterina, I could not remember the name, but yes, Flutterina was just coming in to the team, and everybody like, and I was like, this is cute, but there's something going on
Something
here.
is off here.
And then it was Double Trouble who
Yeah.
was
Who is a
work,
shapeshifter?
which I think is just their approach to taking on characters is great. I love when they always try to Catra hired them at first, but I just love how they were always like trying to let Catra know, like, yeah, so I think my motivation with Flutterina for this, like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
this
Catra doesn't care
guy.
about your theatrics, about your theater, and you being a thespian.
um,
Like, she doesn't care, but you know, Double Trouble is very serious about their craft. Like, they're a performer. They perform.
yeah, and then I think it's just interesting just how they were very consistent. I feel like when they end up betraying Catra, and she's like, but why? And they're just like, well, I never go with the losing team. So
Yeah, that's like, yeah, and of
this,
course, and that does like kind of create this fear initially that what if they join Prime? But no, because there is one thing more important than winning, and that's theater. And you can't. There's no adoring like audience to be had with the Horde in space with all these clones that don't really do anything. Like,
I
no,
I do love
awful. I
that.
hate it.
I love when the rest of the rebellion finds Double Trouble posing as Prince Peekaboo. And they just casually mention, like, yeah, I tried it, but it was really boring. So Prime wasn't for me. Hive Mind, I tapped out. That was it.
Yo, so who wants to hire me? Who wants to pay for my services? Like,
I
that's
love
so
how the
good.
whole
And
group.
oh man, we didn't mention this with Scorpio, but we should mention it here. So right before, they meet Peekaboo,
Yes.
Scorpia singing,
Oh my gosh. I can't
I'm
believe
not a
it.
spy.
I thought that was so amazing because the whole time she feels out of place, she's like, I'm not really good at gathering intel. I think people know I'm a
I'm
liar.
more of the muscle.
And then Perfume was like, you can do it. I believe in
Hey,
you.
yeah, just repeat after me. I can do this. And then she's like, Perfuma can do this. And it's like, no, you can do this. Which, great joke. Just
Yeah.
top notch joke.
Scorpia is just so adorable. But yeah, she sings this song literally telling I love Barbista's face, like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. Why are you exposing yourself? But
Like
nobody
basically,
cares.
and that's basically Mermista a lot of the time. Is kind of like the straight man to everybody else's dumb moron in like a comedy duo. Like
Right.
she's always the one who's like, are you seeing this? Like, she does the kind of a similar thing when like and when Entrapta and Hordak are happily reunited, and she is just like, so are we all just okay with this? Like, bringing up a good point, honestly. Like, I don't know, but yeah, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about Scorpia's song because that was amazing, and also then because Scorpia sees through Double Trouble's disguise because she kind of gets Prince Peekaboo at that point, kind of gets him to like expose himself as not being King, Prince Peekaboo, because it's like, you know, uh, something Prince Peekaboo then says something along the lines of that having played cards or something with Mermista, and Scorpia's like, and then Scorpia, stings him because it's like, Mermista never met you, and it's like, you're a fake, and then because of the sting, like the shape shifting, freaks out, and suddenly there's double trouble, and and Scorpia's like, aha, I saw through your disguise. It's great. I love that. And they're like, well, you got me.
Yeah.
So what now?
But
how will the show go on? Because it's all about the show, which is great. And
yeah.
then we'll talk more about that in detail. But then there's also Double Trouble laying down the law on Catra. We kind of already mentioned it when that Double Trouble at some point betrays Catra. And they just have the most savage takedown in the entire series, and we'll talk a bit more in detail on that later. But just another great point towards their character is that one.
They were really great.
Great character. We already talked a bit about Wrong Hordak,
right?
But we can talk a bit more about him. We mentioned a bit how he has like this existential crisis.
Oh, yes. So after he leaves the Horde, it's so cute that he's, like, joined them, but he just, I guess, thinks that Adora, Bo, and everybody are still part of the hive mind.
Yeah.
At first.
Because he's still trying to please Prime, and he calls them brothers. Kind of like how everybody within the hive mind calls each other brother, and they later refer to Catra as sister. That kind of thing.
So, and he makes them meals, and he's so sweet and so part of the group. But then, when they go to Catalyst, is that or
Critus, I believe.
Critus, yeah. They go to this planet, and then because Catra is still sort of connected to the hive mind at this point.
Yeah, she still has the chip, but she, like, Horde Prime is no longer able to like exert control over her. But she can kind of look back in, despite how incredibly uncomfortable that is.
Yeah, so then, but then Wrong Hordak is like, oh, we don't talk about Critus, because, like, Pride doesn't have any weaknesses.
Critus doesn't exist.
But then...
this planet is fake.
But then, when they go to the planet, they find out that Horde Prime's weakness is magic, which is,
Which is, like, Etheria's, like, the last place, because it was in Despondos, is, like, the last place in the universe that still has magic.
Right. And then, but then that sends Wrong Hordak into a crisis because he's like, wait, Horde Prime lied to us? And then
he isn't perfect? What?
I do like, though, just, like, how it was handled, just, like, from a comedic aspect, just, like, Entraptus is giving everybody, like, updates, like, okay, like, he's having an existential crisis right now, there.
Yeah, like, she doesn't know how to comfort people, like, she doesn't know how people work, like...
But then, he ends up, but then he works through it, and then she's like, okay, good to let you guys know that he's worked through it, and we're done. And then he's like, we must rise up and warn people about Horde Prime. And
it's
like...
it goes a bit quick, but I think that's fine, because, Wrong Hordak is, while he's also, like, kind of that metaphor for people, like I guess kind of losing, leaving a cult, or kind of like extricating themselves from like a harmful like usually very fundamentalist like religious environment or community. He's also still kind of a joke character, kind of just a joke, a comic relief side character. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess it's also true to say, like, he's not much more experienced than a child, really, because he was, like, Hordak had a life outside of the Horde. This is his first time.
And
he only knows the hive mind. So I think, so I don't think it needed to be, like, there's not, like, he had a lot of layers to him.
Like, the Wrong Hordak is just great
I don't
and precious,
think it
and we
needed
need to
to be
protect
that long.
him.
And we already
Hmm.
said, but yeah, just Entrapta adopting him was great. Just
Yeah, there's a lot of really,
yeah.
a lot of them are kind of like characters in the background, but there's a lot of like very buff female characters, and they all look great.
Huntara, I don't have like a whole lot to say about her, but she is another buff queen, and I'm
Waste. It's a desert. It's a wasteland.
I just the only really thing I want to talk about
Yeah.
though is like so in the Crimson Wave Waste. Okay.
Yeah, because Adora
I
also
you
just
know I knew
constantly
I was
ogles
wrong
women
going
with
in,
big arms,
but I was like,
which,
well, we'll work it
relatable.
out later. Okay, so when they're in the Crimson Way, Dora finds Huntara. Was like, well, you're gonna help us because you clearly look like
Yeah,
you
this
know your way
waitress.
around here. Uh,
Yeah, she's flirting with a waitress, basically. And then,
but then like Huntara is like in the middle of talking up this nice lady for an
you're really,
evening
like,
in
you're
the
really,
desert
cock
or
blocking
whatever
Huntara
they
here. Stop
have.
that.
Yeah, I guess I just and then Adora keeps like coming, and it's like
I
Huntara
mean,
had
Huntara then
plans.
also turns it around,
Like
realizing that, because that's like kind of, because there are some things about Huntara
I'm
otherwise. Like,
really
a
not
lot
that
of,
mad
like
at
a
her
part
for
of Huntara's like
betraying
whole
you. You ruined
characterization is
her
that
night,
she's
Missy.
ex-horde, kind of, like Adora. But where Adora went and then took the fight against the Horde, and Huntara just kind of ran and just kind of, fled from the whole thing and just made a new life entirely separate from the war for herself in the Crimson Waste. But she kind of learns that, you know what, that, if you can fight, you should fight. And she kind of joins the rebellion, kind of like as a representative for the Crimson Waste, where she also joins them at the war table and explains things and updates them on things and that kind of stuff. And she even, like, when they later go back to the Crimson Waste to like inspect like Mara's ship more, and they take Perfuma with them, like, she also plays a pretty big part in Perfuma becoming a bit more like self-confident about her abilities, which, for a second, for a split second there's some nice material there to ship some Hunt Fuma, which, I'm really happy with Score Fuma, like, that's also great, but Hunt Fuma was
Yeah.
also there for like an episode, and I wouldn't have been opposed either. I also just really like how Huntara then, calls calls Perfuma Desert Rose or something along those lines. Like, that's really good. Because,
Yeah.
because Perfuma has this problem there where she's like, I don't know how to relate to cactuses. Like, every other plant I can talk to, I can do things with. Cactuses, I don't get. I
Yeah.
don't know how cactus work. And then, Huntara kind of gets her to see that actually cactuses are also just plants. They're just prickly. They're just prickly, and they require less water.
Yeah.
And that's it. Still plants. So yeah, that's kind of Huntara, where she is and where she be, and I like her a lot. I'll also just say immediately, I have kind of a weakness for buff women. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate muscles, okay?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, that's also just literally part of me. Um, then in season 5, we meet the Star siblings.
Noted. And it's so entered in kind of friends lore.
Yeah, kind of a shame that we didn't. Yeah, same. I mean, we see them in like the kind of the like end of season 5,
Yeah,
in the
I thought
finale,
they
when we
were
kind
just
of
like
get
interesting
shots of
and we
like all
didn't
the
really see
different
them ever again.
characters,
I
like
kind of
as victory
thought we
occurs,
would,
and we do see them
but
there, but it's just like
they
a
were a
quick
good
one
group.
like image of them, like bring forth a rebellion against the Horde on like a different planet or something. Yeah, But yeah, you should talk about the best line from the Star Assembly.
Yeah.
I mean, just a
Exactly.
classic
Um.
Adora being dumb joke. But yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they base my the main thing about why they're so amazing is because they gave us the best joke ever. Adora's like, we've got yeah.
The delivery on
Like,
that was
so
also
she's like,
really well
we're
done.
gonna
Just
fight Horde Prime, we're gonna
another
win.
example of how
And
good the
then the
voice
Star
acting
Citizen's
is
like, if you're smart,
in this
you'll
whole
run
thing.
away. And
Because
she's like, well,
okay, so I
I'm
made the
not
mistake of a few days ago.
running.
I
That
listened to
is, I am
some
smart. And
clips.
they're
I
like,
looked at some clips of
okay.
like the old '80s cartoon, and the voice acting in that is so bad. It's so like ham-fisted
Yeah.
and oh, it's awful. Like it's really cringy. And then you get this voice acting in like the in this new one, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's so good. Like Hordak is well voiced. Adora's
Oof.
voice works. Shadow Weaver's voice is really well done. Katra's voice is also so good. Like there's so much good voice acting in this show. It's very notable. Yeah. Horde Prime. Yeah. Like and as a just real quick talking about a bit
Yeah.
about Horde Prime, like
I mean,
he's kind of like
we talked a little
the
bit about it
final
last time,
villain
but
that they have to
just
overcome.
Hordak,
As he
Horde
tries to
Axe,
take over
Horde Prime,
Etheria and
yeah.
basically destroy the last
There.
bit of magic and also obtain the power of the heart of like the weapon that is the planet. And it's like he's like the most threatening villain of all of them. Like initially we kind of have Shadow Weaver, who's just kind of like the most immediate. Well, not necessarily the most immediate, but like he's being Catra's superior, immediate superior is just kind of like the first would be like the first step to defeat,
Yeah.
and then we kind of get Hordak, except that we also learn that he is actually really bad at military stuff, and he's more of a like a scientist, lab worker guy. And then in season 4, he does get more prominent, like Hordak, but it's mostly alongside Catra as they kind of work closer together, and together they like take down Selenius, and the Horde at that point is pretty much winning. And then the heart stuff happens, and Etheria, Light Hope takes Etheria out of the Spondos. We've never talked about Light Hope so far, but we'll get to Light Hope more when we talk about Adora, because that's when Light Hope gets relevant more.
Right.
But Light Hope like teleports, Etheria out of the Spondos because apparently the planet can also just teleport. Um, but like, what am I
Yeah.
trying to say is like Horde Prime
Yeah.
then shows up and immediately like it becomes clear like he basically takes down Hordak without even trying, although Hordak isn't really fighting back either, but like you see that Hordak is just afraid of this man, like incredibly afraid, and he just kind of throws Hordak away like trash, and immediately asserts his dominance as like, I am weird cult leader Space Emperor and fear me, because he's a very credible threat. Like apparently he's also like nigh immortal, as in that he's jumped between like different bodies over like apparently thousands of years. So he works really well as like the final villain, like this actual like the stakes are the highest in season 5 is what I'm saying, and a large part of that is simply because Horde Prime is so incredibly
Yeah.
powerful and dangerous. And then voice work for him is so good.
Yes. Right. No. Def- It is.
Adora.
It's just that
I
powerful,
love the way she says
evil
Adora.
voice. Just
Like it's
like
it's some like Like if
Which
there is
I guess
one
leads us into
thing,
Shadow
like
Weaver
it's
a
kind of
little bit,
amazing
just
that two
because her
characters
voice is
have
just
very good
so
two characters who have very good
deliciously
voice acted say
evil.
Adora in very distinct ways. Like you have Shadow Weaver's
It's
Adora,
ugh.
and then you have Catra's Hey Adora. Like, and they're both very good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very inviting. Yeah, it's the voice acting all around. Like they took their time and they found people who really embodied what these characters were all about.
So, with that, there's only three more people left to really talk about, and there's a lot to unpack. There's Catra, Adora, and Shadow Weaver, and that's that's gonna take us a bit. So we're gonna see you guys in part three because we're gonna need that
Yeah.
part.
No, we're not even ready to really dive into it. So, on that note, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe because we all need friends.